portion of the story, the next chapter in the book, make connections to real life to prompt them to talk about the text. Visualize, there are plenty of pictures for them to take visual cues and talk about what they've seen in the text. Summarize, जैसे हमने पहले बात की थी, retell the story, कि आपने क्या पढ़ा, आप उसको क्लास को summarize करके present करें. Questioning, what questions do you want to ask? So you can, it doesn't have to be questions from the book. They can ask each other questions based on the text. That's a technique called the question formulation technique. If children can ask questions based on a text, then that's a very good way to gauge that they actually understand the text. अगर वो text में उन्होंने interest नहीं लिया, text पढ़ा नहीं हो, और text वो समझ नहीं पाए, तो वो सवाल नहीं पूछ सकेंगे based on the text. And then the monitoring comes with helping each group or helping each student. We've talked about that already. You also teach New Oxford Modern English. I want to talk about how the flip learning method can be used with this book as well. So you've got, instead of giving them, ये जो screen पे आपको नजर आ रहा है, words to know, ain't, hush, then there is a place, then there's gruel, then there's subsisted. Now the thing is with this, बड़े अच्छे से इसमें mixture दिया हुआ है of a proper noun, a contraction, of a imperative verb, hush, subsisted, that's also a verb, maintain, support, or survive. Something, then there's an adjective. तो अगर आप देखें अलग-अलग parts of speech, words to know में दी हुई हैं. You can also point that out to the students. Then you can ask them if something is, if we say hush, for example, what's another word for hush? Quiet. What's another word for quiet? Silent. What's another word for silent? Soft, still. They'll come up with many different words, and you keep going until you can't come up with any more words for hush. And that is called elicitation. इससे आप vocabulary building करते हैं बच्चों की. You start with this box, words to know, and then build vocabulary from there, rather than giving them the word and saying इसका definition ये है और ये हम memorize करेंगे ये word. आप और words elicit करवाएं to help students retain it. They will remember hush when you discuss many different words connected to hush. Graphic stories जो हैं वो बच्चों को visual prompts की तरह work करती हैं. I'll just come to how we can use visual prompts in the classroom. And then we have life skills, which is very important in the national curriculum now. Life skills, social and ethical development. It's a large part of our Pakistan national curriculum, and so those life skills are all embedded in the stories in New Oxford Modern English. And then we've got an enhanced and updated glossary. Now the thing is with the glossaries, students can get help on their own to look up the meanings. They're not reliant on the teachers. कि अगर difficult words हैं, or students come from different language backgrounds as well. अलग-अलग ज़बानें उनके घर में बोली जाती हैं. किसी के माँ बाप हेल्प कर सकेंगे with giving them meanings of difficult words. किसी के माँ बाप उनको नहीं हेल्प कर सकेंगे. They won't know those words. So what we do is we've got to equip students to learn on their own. There's a glossary for that, so that they're not reliant on anyone to give them the meanings of the words. And then of course there are engaging posters that we'll come to. So these are the features. We have themes in New Oxford Modern English that include the self and self-care and what we want to talk about. How do we talk about ourselves? What adjectives can be used when we describe ourselves and our experiences? How do we talk about family, home, our home environment? So we start with the personal. Then we talk about the world around us. What do we know about the world around us? What do we want to learn about our environment? Then we talk about science, technology, sports, we have transport, we have media, we have plants and animals. Ye sare subjects incorporated, and English is being taught through many different topics and subjects so that children build an awareness of the world around them. And then we have life skills such as communication, critical thinking, sharing, self-awareness, concern, kindness for others, compassion. All of that is taught through the texts in our books. Then we've got posters which cover All sorts of literary devices such as similes, metaphors, graphic stories for visual learners. Then we've got projects that children can do together. There's a lot of emphasis nowadays worldwide on collaborative learning. Why? Because children learn best when they do things together. And it also builds team skills जो उनको बाद में काम आती हैं in their professional lives. When they go into whatever job they do, they will require teamwork for that. And then we've got reading texts that come from classical literature and contemporary literature, so they understand the difference between very formal and traditional language and how it was used back then, and then more contemporary language, which is more casual. And then spiraling एक technique होती है जिसमें एक basic level पे introduce किया जाता है एक topic such as nouns or adjectives, parts of speech. And then we go into more complex nouns and parts of speech when we go up one level. उसके बाद हम वही parts of speech वापस लेते हैं to a more complex level. So if you start with adverbs in class 1, they already know that adverbs show you how to do something. So, you know, if we're smiling happily, an adverb is, the adverb is happily. How are we smiling? We're smiling happily. बस इतना ही introduce किया है हमने class 1 में. Then they go on to class 2. Then they learn that there are different kinds of adverbs. That there are also adverbs of when, and there are also adverbs of how much, and there are also adverbs of where. So they learn that there are more complex adverbs. Then they go on to class 4, 5, and 6 and learn that there are frontal adverbs as well. What are frontal adverbs and how can we use them in sentences? So concept same है, मगर हम एक sort of इमारत बनाते हैं ना आहिस्ता आहिस्ता, तो वो एक फाउंडेशन बन गया एडवर्ब्स का. एक एग्जांपल के तौर पे मैं बोल रही हूँ, मिसाल दे रही हूँ एडवर्ब्स का. यू कैन यूज देम विद एनी सब्जेक्ट, एनी कॉन्सेप्ट इन अ सब्जेक्ट जो डेवलप होता है एट अ वेरी स्मॉल स्केल शुरू में, और उस पे ही हम बिल्ड करते हैं सॉर्ट ऑफ इमारत बनाने के लिए. सो एडवांस्ड एंड कॉम्प्लेक्स वेज में हम बाद में बच्चों को यूज करना सिखाते हैं. दैट इज कॉल्ड स्पाइरलिंग. यू रीविजिट द सेम कॉन्सेप्ट बट इन अ मोर एडवांस्ड एंड कॉम्प्लेक्स वे. इंटीग्रेटेड करिकुलम का सिर्फ ये मतलब है कि हम करिकुलम जो पाकिस्तान नेशनल करिकुलम है उसके जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं, हम बहुत अलग अलग चीज़ें इंकॉर्पोरेट करते हैं in one book. And then we've spoken about graphic stories. Now, how can we use NOME? So this is a page from New Oxford Modern English. And I'll quickly read through this. Grandma is sitting in her rocking chair. She's rocking slowly, forwards and backwards, forwards and backwards. The rocking chair is making a noise. Creak, squeak, creak, squeak. Grandma shuts her eyes. अब इसमें एक आप बच्चों को ये दे सकते हैं to read on their own. It's very simple to read on their own. And then there are various questions you can ask. Where was grandma sitting? तस्वीर में आपको क्या नजर आ रहा है? How do you know she's old? ग्रे बाल नजर आ रहे हैं, चश्मे इस तरह से पहने हुए हैं, शक्ल ओल्ड लग रही है. Let them read the picture and discuss it with you. Forwards और backwards का क्या मतलब है? आप बच्चों से कहें कि आप demonstrate करके बताएं कि rocking forwards and backwards का क्या मतलब है. Demonstration also works. Vocabulary in context करें. Giggle का अगर मतलब सिखा रहे हैं, तो rather than saying to laugh in a silly way, you can giggle for them and you can show them what a giggle is. Ask them to show you what a giggle is. So demonstrate. फिर हम annotation करते हैं जिसमें हम बच्चों से कहते हैं कि आप अपने बुक में या नोटबुक में लिखें ये कि अगर वो let's take a word like slowly. What does the word slowly mean? One child will write not fast. Another child will write what's another word for slowly? It's not coming to me. Slowly, softly, gently, painstakingly. They might want to write down other words for slowly. You might want to help them with it. Maybe you can teach them to Google it and produce more words for slowly. Then you have guiding questions such as, what is a rocking chair, find out what a rocking chair is, what different kinds of chairs can we have. तो ये सारे सवालात जो है ना वो आप बच्चों से पूछेंगे to dig deep into the text to help them understand. And then we have reflective questions such as, think about what this grandma is doing. What does your grandma do at home? If you don't have a grandma, अगर नानी नहीं है, दादी होगी, दादी नहीं तो चाची होगी, चाची नहीं तो फुप्पी होगी, कोई भी elderly lady अपने खानदान में सोचे उसके बारे में. What does she do? Does she sit on a chair and rock? What does she normally do? When you see her, what is she doing? What can you say about her? So discuss people from their real life experiences. That's how children may take more interest in the texts. And then we develop critical thinking through graphic stories. So here, for example, you might want to ask them, look at that picture. Or is picture mein ho kya raha hai? You can use the 5 whys: what, when, who, where, and why. So you might want to ask them, what is this girl carrying on her head? Why do you think she's carrying a basket of biscuits? Where do you think she's going? When do you think she's going to sell these biscuits? Early in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening? They'll say probably not in the morning because she's in school in the morning. Afternoon ya evening mein sell karti hogi. So when you look at graphic stories, use the 5 whys to develop critical thinking, or use role play. You can also have this particular story reenacted. बच्चे अपनी तरफ से ये क्लास में ये एक्टिंग करें. एक बच्ची जो है वो बास्केट की जगह पे कुछ भी ले सकते हैं. क्लास में एक अगर बोल पड़ा हुआ है, कुछ भी है, तो सर पे बोल रख के pretend to do what is being done in the story to help them understand. And then develop presentation skills. So you could ask them to present something they've made at home. तो अगर आपने बिस्किट्स बेक किए हैं घर पे, या आपने केक बेक किया है, या आपने अपने माँ बाप को हेल्प किया to cook something at home, present it, talk about how you did it, present it to the class, क्या ingredients गए उसमें, कैसे आपने cooking की. So own that learning, internalize it, process it by talking about your own experiences. और जितनी बोलने की opportunity मिलती है class में बच्चों को, उतना ज़्यादा they get engaged in learning. Or you can give them projects to do. So here, for example, we've got a page with the title, The Drone. What is a drone? And how do we make a drone? Can it fly, Dad? He asks. Oh, yes, says Dad. Here you can teach them how to punctuate dialogue. जब बोलना शुरू करते हैं तो speech marks open. बोलना बंद किया, speech marks closed. And then you can ask them to write a dialogue of their own as a project, or you could ask them to make a drone from a carton or paper and bring it to class and talk about what a drone can do. Can your drone fly? It can manually if you throw it across. What do we use drones for? अलग-अलग usage होते हैं drones के. बच्चे toy drones से खेलते हैं. Drones are used to take pictures, to make videos as well, to spy on people. Drones are used in wars. तरीके functions जो हैं drones के, वो आप बच्चों के साथ discuss करें. Ask them to present it to you. Ask them to make a project, a small drone or you could show them a video. Now I don't have a video plugged in here, but you can show them a video on drones and teach them how to look for, जैसे ये page है, teach them how to look for key information. What key information is it giving about drones? He showed Vasif a tiny camera on the drone. A drone always carries a camera. Why? वो camera से क्या करते हैं हम? Why is a drone useful? What else do we learn about a drone from this paragraph? We learn that the drone is a small machine. And वो machine के अंदर क्या होगा? वो joined होगी machine with wires. What do those wires do? What do wires generally do in life? Why do we need wires? They carry electricity. And then we will, he says, I hope it works. You carry the drone, I will bring my cell phone. Why, Dad? Asked Wasif. Why does a drone need a cell phone? What connection do we have between a cell phone and a drone? So by asking all these questions, you're helping them think about what a drone is. And then you can give them a video to watch on drones so that they can see, visualize, and understand better what a drone does. Okay, now let's move on to, sorry, I'd like to move on to the next slide. I'm running out of time. The course materials that we use to invert a classroom, we've spoken about this. We can use pre-recorded videos that children can see, that the teacher can show in class or give them a link to watch at home. Now remember, they might not have laptops, but स्मार्टफोन जरूर होते हैं. एक एडल्ट के पास घर पे स्मार्टफोन होता है. It's very easy for children to click on a link and watch a video, and it's faster learning than convincing them to read through the text, which they will if they watch the video and the curiosity develop ho jati hai. Next they'll go to the text. Online resources, research and review के हम tools बच्चों को सिखाते हैं. If they don't understand a topic, they don't understand a particular concept or a word, ask them to Google it. Teach them how to conduct research on the internet. And then when you read texts with them, ask for a personal response. Connect it to their real life experiences. Ask them to tell you a story about it. जब personal response मिलता है किसी text पे या किसी topic पे, the kids become more interested and they want to engage more in learning on their own. Then use experiential learning activities where you link what you're teaching them to real life, give them examples from their life. And then you have gamification, which is games that they play with their peers online, interactive games, which will help consolidate learning. Secondary learning ke liye, the pandemic has changed a lot. And mainly what the pandemic has done is it's made more room for observation and experimentation. बच्चे घर पे बैठे हुए थे and learning हो रही थी. Several different levels पे learning हो रही थी. You would have noticed when they come back to class to you that they have learned to find information on their own. They have watched a lot of videos. They have done a lot of experiments. They have played a lot of video games that have taught them things. Their eyes have also opened up to what's happening in other countries, because we've spoken about how the pandemic has affected other countries as well. So now children are talking about that too. So you would notice that there is more room for observation and experimentation. Share your findings. You can give them something to research on, and you can say, bring back your findings to class, present it to the rest of us. उससे बच्चों का confidence level भी बढ़ता है, and at the same time they learn to acquire fluency in the language when they speak. The more they speak the language, the more fluent they will become. The more fluent they become, the more interested they will be in reading and writing, which is where you want to bring them when you're teaching them core skills in English. And then you link that learning to the SLOs. So whatever topic you're teaching them, ask them to use their presentation skills to present a summary of that, find out about that topic and present it. These are examples of flipped classroom activities. So if you're teaching, let's say, definitions in science or dates in history, then you might give them little strips of paper with the answers on them, distribute the answers around the class, hold the question yourself. So when you read the question aloud, the student who has the answer on the strip of paper will say bingo. The one who gets, अगर आप 10 questions के साथ ये कर रहे हैं, so the one who gets the 10 points first wins the bingo game. Everyone else will learn because you're giving the question. The answers are being said out aloud in the class. So question and answer. And then change the strips around. Have students exchange their strips of paper. Do it again so that आप बार-बार दोहरा रहे हैं same questions and answers. That's what reinforces learning. Or you can have the Oxford style debates in the class. A topic for or against. And then you can have students discuss the points for and against, 2 in each team, with the classroom sitting there, the rest of the class sitting there as in the audience, and they get to vote which side they're on. तो अगर वो 4 से agree करते हैं, तो फिर वो शुरू में अपना हाथ उठाएंगे. अगर उनका point of view change हो गया होता है, फिर they become against that topic, that means that team has won because they've been convincing enough. Persuasive writing में या persuasive speech में और confidence level build करने में, plus language में fluency इख्तियार करने के लिए, debates class में बहुत ज़रूरी होते हैं. Just the opportunity to speak up on various topics really helps children. And then you've got the game of Jeopardy, which is exactly the same as the game on TV. It's when you give, when you're asked to guess an answer, and then the teacher picks out the question from the box, and the student has got the right answer for it, then they win that point. So there are various ways in which we can use games in class. We've already discussed the question formulation technique. This is not exactly a game, it's an activity in the class. When the text is being taught, तो बच्चे सवाल पूछते हैं rather than the teacher asking the questions. We come to the tasks and exercises later. First, you might want to ask the students to कि आपने जो टेक्स्ट पढ़ा है घर पे उसके बारे में आप क्या क्या सवाल बना सकते हैं. Make your own questions and ask them to the rest of the class, and the students can ask and answer questions on their own. The teacher stays at the back of the class or at the side of the class. Jigsaw reading activities and jigsaw activities generally इस तरह से होती हैं कि हम divide करते हैं tasks. अगर एक लंबा सा chapter पढ़ना है तो उसको paragraphs में divide करने, अलग students अलग paragraphs पढ़ें, and then they retell what they've read or they explain what they've read, so that the whole class doesn't have to read the whole chapter. एक ग्रुप एक चैप्टर एक हिस्सा पढ़े चैप्टर का, एक और ग्रुप एक और हिस्सा पढ़े चैप्टर का, और फिर then they come together and they share their knowledge. It works like pieces of a puzzle. Exit slip हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं. बच्चे जब क्लास एंड करते हैं, ऑनलाइन टीचिंग में भी ये बहुत अच्छे से वर्क करता है. आप उनसे पूछ सकते हैं कि आप बताएं कि आपने क्या तीन अहम चीज़ें लर्न की हैं. एंड दिस कैन बी यूज्ड एट एनी लेवल, एट एनी एज. छोटा बच्चा भी आपको बता सकेगा, बड़े बच्चे भी बता सकेंगे कि आपने क्या 3 चीज़ें सीखी हैं आज क्लास में. आपकी फेवरेट चीज़ क्या थी, आपको चैलेंजिंग क्या लगा. वो रिफ्लेक्टिव लर्निंग की तरफ जाता है, सो दैट स्टूडेंट्स अंडरस्टैंड कि मुझे इतना समझ आया है और इतना समझ नहीं आया. बिकॉज अक्सर स्टूडेंट्स को पता नहीं होता कि उनको क्या समझ नहीं आया, और वो पास कर जाते हैं वो चैप्टर ख़त्म हो जाता है, वो बात रह जाती है, और उनको फिर भी अंदाज़ा नहीं होता कि वो प्रिपेयर्ड नहीं है, उनको समझ नहीं आए कि क्लास में क्या पढ़ाया गया. तो जब वो एग्जिट स्लिप ये सवाल करते हैं ना उनसे कि आप बताएं आपको क्या चैलेंजिंग लगा, क्या मुश्किल लगा, क्या आपने सीखा, क्या नहीं सीखा, इससे रिफ्लेक्टिव लर्निंग की आदत होती है, ताकि वो सोचें कि मैंने क्या सीखा इस चैप्टर से, या ये चैप्टर ख़त्म हो गया और मैंने कुछ नहीं सीखा इस चैप्टर में. Okay, I will stop here now and take your questions and your comments. Please feel free to unmute and ask me anything that you want to. In about 5 or 7 minutes, we'll have an intellectual property rights presentation starting, which we do with many schools. If you would give us the opportunity for that, that'll be great. Just one announcement before I and हमारा एक क्रिएटिव राइटिंग स्किल्स का कोर्स है फॉर टीचर्स. दिस इज़ अ पेड कोर्स बिकॉज ये लंबा कोर्स है, 1 महीने का है, और इसमें हफ्ते में 2 दिन लेसन्स होंगे ऑनलाइन. तो आप घर बैठ के ये कर सकते हैं, और ये डेट स्टार्टिंग डेट है sometime around 15 September. इसकी registrations ऑनलाइन होगी. 3 to 5 p.m. Tuesdays and 3 to 5 p.m. Thursdays. So twice a week, 2 घंटे के lessons होंगे for a month, which means कि a total of 8 lessons होंगे. And this can be individually paid by the teachers. एक e-commerce का link है जो आपको भेजा जाएगा अगर आप register करना चाहते हैं और ये course सीखना चाहते हैं. So this is going to be about how to teach creative writing to students in your classrooms, various techniques, and we'll dig deeper into it because this is a very detailed course with sort of techniques and tips and tricks, step-by-step approach towards creative writing. So this is an extended training course. I just wanted to make that announcement. If you are, what you can see on the screens is a description of the 4 modules that we will teach. And if you are interested in registering for this course, please email us at pd.pk@oup.com. Okay, questions and comments? Should I stop my screen share now?
जी मैम, यहाँ क्वेश्चन आंसर का जो है वो सेक्शन है, वहाँ पे क्वेश्चंस कुछ आए हैं, आप उनको देखिए.
Right. So I'm just opening the chat box now. Okay, so there's one of the comments here that says that the syllabus is too long to handle. I hope you can still hear me. The syllabus is too long to handle for the students. Now the thing is, जब syllabus बहुत लंबा होता है ना, तो उसको फिर भी पूरा करना आसान है अगर आप jigsaw method use करें. So every student doesn't have to do every bit of the text or every bit of a mathematics chapter, what they can do is you can divide them into groups where they work on different things and then they explain it to each other as well. अगर एक लंबा सा text tag पढ़ रहे हैं, divide that text between students or divide it between groups. They can do it in pairs, they can do it individually, they can do it in groups. And then they will teach it to the rest of the class. So इस तरह से आप एक chapter बहुत जल्दी cover कर सकते हैं. वो वाली बात होती है ना कि अगर एक बंदा अकेले इमारत बनाए तो बहुत लंबा टाइम लग जाता है उसमें, मगर जब बहुत सारे साथ मिलके अलग अलग हिस्से पे वर्क करें तो बहुत जल्दी वो इमारत खड़ी हो जाती है. So the concept is just like that. Thank you for your kind comments. It's very nice of you to say, Ramsha, Qazi and Saad. Very nice of you to, very kind comments from you. Thank you very much. Any questions that I can help you with? I'm here to help. If you need any further information, please feel free to email me at pd.pk@oup.com.
मैम चैट बॉक्स के साथ Q&A का जो है वो सेक्शन है, उसमें क्वेश्चंस हैं, उसको
Right. I will just open the Q&A section. Okay, how can we implement flipped class in mathematics class? Exactly the same way. तो अगर आप लोगों ने देखा होगा बहुत तरीके हैं. एक तो हमारे पास OUP का अपना My Maths का site है. My Maths has a lot of games that teach concepts. So, and it's free. So students can log into My Maths, create their own email address, and this works especially well. हर एज के लिए वर्क करता है, but especially well for students who are in class 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, the younger ones that really enjoy learning through games. The concept is explained to them, they watch that video, they play that maths game, and उनको बहुत तेजी से कॉन्सेप्ट समझ आ जाता है. फिर जब वो वापस क्लास में आएंगे तो फिर आप टास्क्स और एक्टिविटीज उनके साथ करेंगे टू रीइंफोर्स लर्निंग कि आपने क्या सीखा फ्रॉम दिस. सो फॉर मैथ्स स्पेशली I would suggest that we use videos as much as we can for children to learn the concept. बहुत important होते हैं वो videos because वो textbook से जो step by step approach होती है ना, जो step 1, step 2, step 3, उससे बेहतर होता है कि videos बच्चे सीख के और वो visualize कर सकें rather than just reading. विजुअलाइज कर सकें कॉन्सेप्ट के हो रहा क्या है. मिसाल के तौर पे छोटे बच्चों को जब हम टाइम्स टेबल सिखा रहे होते हैं तो 2 times 3 उनको नहीं समझ आता जब तक वो यूट्यूब पे एक वीडियो देखते हैं जिसमें 3 lots of 2 होते हैं, 2 grapes लिखे हुए, another 2 grapes and another 2 grapes, और फिर उनको समझाया जाता है कि 2 add 2 add 2 is the same as 2 times 3 because it's 3 lots of 2. When they visualize it and they hear it, the learning is faster. So that's how we implement the flipped classroom in a maths class. Then we come back for exercises and tasks. Students get distracted because of technology. Usman Ali ka hai sawal, they prefer entertainment, the focus. Yes, absolutely. But children can learn through entertainment. So that is where gamification comes in. Maths, my iMaths bhi hai hamare paas, OUP ke paas, my maths bhi hai. If you explore that site, you will find that children can actually learn through entertainment and games. And it's brilliant. Unfortunately or fortunately, children have changed. They learn differently. और अगर देखा जाए तो बहुत ज़्यादा learning हो रही है different scale पे. जैसे हमारी होती थी, our learning was limited to textbooks. Their learning is on a much wider scale. So yeah, we just have to focus on how they can use technology to their advantage rather than to waste time on it. So any other questions here? I can't see any other questions. Let me scroll down. In our examination system, how will the students write the definition? They will write the definition through their understanding. So they will understand when they understand the concept because they have learned to give a personal response to questions. They will learn to write the definition relying on the words that they can use and their understanding rather than word to word from the textbook. Definition तो गलत नहीं होगी, सही होगी ना? अपने words में लिखेंगे वो. So that is better learning because then they've internalized and processed the learning. Okay, and this can be used with any syllabus. This model can actually be used with any syllabus, no matter how long it is. It's just that you've got to follow your SLOs and you just have to make sure that you're covering the content that you need to cover. But it can be done without explanation, without instruction. The learning comes from the children in groups, in pairs. It is student-led learning. वो खुद सवाल पूछते हैं, वो जवाब देते हैं, वो research करते हैं. They dig deep into the text. Teachers have to do very little. They have to guide them and mentor them and help them individually and in groups rather than giving them the explanation. That's all there is to it. It's a very simple model, actually. How can we change a system? Well, we don't have to exactly change the system. We just have to use the flip model and then experiment with it. See how it goes in the classroom. If you're getting fantastic results, you know it's working. At least you know that it's going to build curiosity and motivation. बच्चों के interest levels तो फौरन बढ़ जाते हैं with this. Okay, I am going to hand over to IPR. Saad, are you here? Okay, what about students in senior classes, 8, 9, 10? Students in senior classes work much better with the flipped classroom model because they like to take control of their learning. So बच्चों को जब आप जितना ज़्यादा control देते हैं, उतना ज़्यादा अंडरस्टैंडिंग डेवलप होती है और इतना ज़्यादा मोटिवेशन डेवलप होती है. अगर आप बच्चों को एक एक्सप्लेनेशन देंगे और कहेंगे कि आप यही याद करें और यही सीखें और यही वापस लिखें, तो उसमें इंटरेस्ट नहीं पैदा होता. इट बिकम्स बोरिंग. दैट्स द ओनली थिंग. जितना ज़्यादा बच्चों को इन्वॉल्व करेंगे इन ऑब्जर्वेशन, एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन एंड रिफ्लेक्टिव लर्निंग, वो ज़्यादा मोटिवेशन शो करते हैं. For general courses, for general subjects like science, the flip model can be used very well for science because experimentation, observation to zyada science mein use hoti hai than in maths and English. You can use experimentation and observation in any subject, but science में तो बहुत use होती है because बच्चों को समझना कि किस तरह से वो scientific concepts समझना and to be able to use them, that's more important in science. They can't just repeat a concept, they have to learn to use it. अच्छा, ये जो है आपका सवाल साद बेग का, can you tell me what is a good method to make a paper for class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? ये तो आपके grammar tree and NOME में tests दिए हुए हैं. वो तो सवाल भी दिए हुए हैं, जवाब भी दिए हुए हैं. So you don't actually have to make a paper. It's given to you. The assessments are available. और grammar tree के जो checkpoints हैं, they're very useful to test children because they are completely aligned with the SLOs of the Pakistan National Curriculum. Any other questions? Please unmute. Please unmute और पूछ लें आप लोग जो भी सवाल पूछने. I'm here for another 10 minutes. This session ends at 12:30. मैंने वो time इसीलिए रखा हुआ था because हमें एक short IPR session कराना था. So I'm just going to try and get a IPR gentleman to log in now for that. So we still have 3 to 4 minutes. अगर आप लोगों को कोई सवाल पूछने हैं तो please unmute करके पूछ लें.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
जी बोलें सायरा. जी बोलें.
Really well presented, ma'am. First of all, it was a very good session. Thank you so much for your time. मेरा question is, ma'am, that I have seen in various schools, like I have worked at different schools, the screen time for children is too much. Like, let's talk about the PGs. They are just sitting in their classrooms and all the time the screen is there and everything. So my question is that, was it good just to just to make them busy, just in case to make them busy, you just have to put the screen on and kids are not learning much from it. They're just watching some cartoonic movies and animated movies and things like that. I have suggested in schools that there should be a limited screen time for kids even in PGs, but I have seen that they came with use that just to make them engage. कि भाई वो शरारतें ना करें या they don't go outside the class. They just make them busy with the screen. So what would you suggest? Is it fine, or what could be the alternate of it?
देखिए सायरा, ये फ्लिप मॉडल में बहुत फोकस्ड एक्टिविटीज़ होती हैं, तो वो स्क्रीन टाइम जब बच्चों को दिया जाता है तो इट इज़ नॉट फॉर देम टू वॉच वट एवर दे वॉन्ट टू वॉच. वो सारे जो हैं वो एक ही एक्टिविटी कर रहे होंगे. अगर एक मैथ्स गेम हो रहा है तो सब वही मैथ्स गेम कर रहे होंगे. अगर एक वीडियो वॉच किया जा रहा है तो सब वो वीडियो वॉच कर रहे होंगे. मगर वीडियो तो खैर फ्लिप क्लासरूम में घर पे वॉच करते हैं, फिर टास्क्स और एक्सरसाइजेस क्लास में करते हैं, एंड देन वी वॉच फॉर रिफ्लेक्टिव लर्निंग दैट वीडियो कैन बी प्लेड अगेन. मगर ये नहीं होता कि अनलिमिटेड स्क्रीन टाइम दिया जा रहा है बच्चों को कंट्रोल के बगैर क्लास में. दैट कैन नेवर हैपन, बिकॉज वो तो फिर बच्चे घर में करते हैं ना. तो क्लास में अगर स्क्रीन पे होंगे एंटरटेनमेंट के लिए तो फिर देयर वोंट बी मच लर्निंग टेकिंग प्लेस. And that's why it's important for the teacher to go around the class, to be with the children rather than at the front of the class. ये जो front की जो leadership थी ना, उसके दिन अब चले गए हैं, because वो बच्चे जो हैं वो उनकी requirement नहीं है anymore. वो देखते भी नहीं है टीचर की तरफ जब टीचर सामने से खड़ा होके या खड़े होके पढ़ा रही होती है. थोड़े टाइम में टीचर्स कैसे ज़्यादा लेक्चर दे सकते हैं, but we're not giving a lecture at all. Flipped classroom model में lecture की तो ज़रूरत ही नहीं होती ना. So that's what we're talking about. We don't want to lecture. We don't want to do instructional teaching. We're trying to minimize teacher talk time. जितना कम हो सके उतना ज़्यादा. Demonstrations, activities, helping children, जैसे आप tables पे उनके जाके उनको बैठ के help कर सकें, उस पे ज़्यादा हम फोकस करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. टीचर टॉक टाइम हमें नहीं करना. सॉरी, आई हैव टू टेक दिस कॉल. साद इज कॉलिंग अगेन. ओके, सॉरी, वी वोंट हैव द आईपीआर सेशन टुडे बिकॉज वो लॉग इन नहीं कर पा रहे हैं ये जूम की लिंक से. वो सो वी स्टिल हैव अबाउट, आई थिंक हमारा टाइम इज अप 2 minutes. इफ anyone has any other questions, आप प्लीज अनम्यूट करके पूछ लें.
मैम साथ आ रहे हैं within 5 minutes. आप
Yes, you may get this presentation. So Qazi Jawad has this question कि may we get this presentation. आप लोगों को ये presentation available होगी अपने खुद की management से. I believe Hassan Nisar साहब will be able to answer that question better because record तो हो रहा है ये session. तो अगर teachers के लिए आप वो available कर दें तो अच्छा होगा.
ठीक है मैम, अब इसकी available होगी recording भी और जो presentation है और बाकी learning material भी.
राइट. अच्छा, एक लिंक उज़मा अभी आपके लिए चैट बॉक्स में डाल देंगी. उज़मा, इफ यू कैन पुट द लिंक फॉर द यूट्यूब चैनल. वी हैव अ यूट्यूब चैनल, इट्स कॉल्ड अ पीडी चैनल, और उसका जो लिंक है अभी भी चैट बॉक्स में आपको डाल देते हैं. वो आप लोग प्लीज कॉपी कर लें या उस पर क्लिक कर लें. फ्लिप्ड क्लासरूम की जो मैंने लाइव वेबिनार की थी पिछले महीने, वो available here to watch. It's already there. So my presentation is already available as a webinar. You just have to click on the link and watch it. Okay, ji, Allah Hafiz everyone. Take care and stay safe.